Who is asking this question? Is it a headhunter, HR, or the hiring manager like myself? So let's see the possible scenarios first, okay? Scenario 1, from a headhunter. So you're just interviewing with a recruiter or headhunter, okay? Scenario 2, from HR or internal recruiter. Scenario 3, the question comes from the hiring manager. And scenario 4, again, the question comes from the hiring manager, but you started the process with a headhunter. I hope I'm not confusing you with all these scenarios. So let's start with scenario 1. If it's a headhunter asking you this question, then I suggest you direct the question back at them. Ask, what is the budget of your client for this role? 90% of the time, they will give you a range. Then you can go ahead and say that it's within your expectations. Okay, so this was the first scenario. The second scenario is that HR asks you this question in the first stage of the interview. This is usually the very first stage of the entire recruitment process. So this is before you even interview with the hiring manager. See, HR has very good reasons to ask you this question. They really don't want to take that chance of introducing someone to the hiring manager and let that person pass the interviews just to reject the job offer, right? It would be a major fail for HR. So they want to immediately eliminate any candidate that may potentially fall out of the salary range they're prepared to offer. Something important here. They don't just eliminate the candidates who are above their budget, but also below their budget too. They do that because they judge your worth based on how much salary you draw. So they won't think, oh, we got a discount. It won't be like that, you know? It's weird like that. So my suggestion in this case is for you not to answer this question. They will insist. They will insist real good. But you just have to hold your ground and say something like the following, you know? I'm sure PwC will be offering a competitive salary within the industry standards. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm just looking for an opportunity to prove my worth to the company. That's my only priority at this stage. So why am I suggesting this? Because there's a very clear conflict of interest here. It's in HR's best interest to eliminate all those candidates that are not within the salary range, and it is in your best interest to not take that risk of potentially failing even before getting a job offer. Simple conflict of interest. So if you can pull it off, don't give out any information. Just say you're confident their offer will be within the industry standards. They will push you though, and you will resist. But let's say you couldn't resist. Let's say the HR is very adamant and you realize that you will have to give out a number. You must. In that case, you will give out a number. So what I suggest is before you go to that interview, visit Glassdoor.com and check out the salary ranges for your role. In there, you will see so many entries and you will be able to see the lower end as well as the higher end of the role. So when they ask for your expectations, then you can just say between this and that, right? Because that's industry standards. Good. Scenario 3. The question comes from the hiring manager. So hiring manager is going to be your direct line supervisor, right? You know, one of the qualities you want to highlight is your honesty. I suggest you very clearly say that you actually didn't know about the salary range as much. So before going to the interview, you checked Glassdoor.com and you realized that the range is between this and that. So you'd be happy to consider a salary that seems like the industry standards. That's it. This will be a very smooth answer. So they can't blame you for asking too much or too less. It's the industry standards. You just made a research and came up with a methodological figure, right? You're not greedy nor desperate. So this should work. The scenario 4, the question is coming from the hiring manager, but you initially started the process with an external recruiter or headhunter. So in this case, very similar to the scenario 1, make sure you ask about the salary range in advance. The recruiters know the range very, very well because their client always tells them, and it's in their best interest for you to get that job at a salary as high as possible, because they make commissions based on how high you get paid. So they will tell you a range. Then you can just share that range with the hiring manager later on in interviews. Good. I believe this is the safest approach.